Christian men need to get outside of church and continue to be Christians. You know, they need to have strong, mature relationships that sustain them through the week. I think, you know, I get tired of seeing Christianity just at church on Sunday morning and then it fails everywhere else Monday through Saturday. So, you know, I no longer work at church, but that doesn't change who I am or where my faith is, you know.
Yeah.
I started a company that does music services about 3 years ago on my own. I have a DJ service that does weddings and private events. I still have a band that does cover R&B, soul, blues tunes. I still fill in as a bass player for some other acts whenever they call, you know. This is what I do for a job. And wherever I go, I make sure that I try to take Jesus with me and who I am and what I do. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter where I am when I do it, you know. So if anything, you know, from this, you know, people who maybe, you know, I know you want to talk about the midlife crisis, but at some point in time, you know, that crisis is probably your own doing because you've been pursuing the wrong things. So think about what you're doing and who you are, what you want to be. Maybe ask God where you're supposed to be or what you're supposed to be doing. Because I got news for you. He gave you gifts and talents. Those don't change. Whatever you were doing when you were in a lifestyle that was before Jesus Christ entered your life, it's probably the same thing you'd be doing for Jesus. You know, if I could leave you with anything, there's this great story in the Bible where Peter and Jesus are going to the temple. They got to pay taxes. And Peter says, Jesus, we don't have any money for taxes. What do we do? And Jesus looked at him and said, hey, go down and get some fish out the water. When the fish comes up, there'll be a shekel of silver in it. Peter didn't say, that's weird. Why would I do that? But Jesus also didn't ask him. He didn't ask him to go drywall. He didn't ask him to go collect garbage. Of all the things he asked him to do, he went to the one thing that Peter had a skill set for before he became a Christian. And when he told him he was going to provide for him miraculously through doing that, Peter was like, okay. He went and did it. And then he came back and gave the money and they were all set. That story strikes me real hard because I didn't know what to do when I became a Christian. I thought I had to work at church. I thought I had to, you know, I didn't know what to do. I was kind of lost. And then God was like, okay, now stop moping and pouting. Put your bass back on, use your musical skills, but I'd like you to do it for me. And I was like, I could do that. You know, He's never going to ask you to do something that's beyond your skill set or for what you don't have the passion to do. Because I tell you right now, nothing's more unattractive than a passionless person doing a job. Okay. You know?
Yep.
So
That was a great little wisdom riff there. I don't know if you've ever heard that phrase. I just made it up.
no, listen, man, I like it. I
That was
like it.
great. That was great. Thank you for sharing that. Because you know, I love that insight and your perspective on that story. That's cool. Very cool.
I never really get to tell this story, but I read a story once about a traveling group of musicians and performers. And they came into a small village in the outskirts of this kingdom, and they needed to have a gig to make sure they had enough food and stuff to travel. And when they went to do this little outside thing, it rained. Nobody showed up, and they were afraid they weren't going to do it. At the last minute, one couple showed up and sat way in the back. And the leader of the troop said, hey, we need to put on a show like it's the last time we ever get to do a show. We're going to give these two people the best show they ever got. And the people were like, we're not even going to make anything. We're not. He goes, it doesn't matter. They paid their ticket. They deserve what they paid for. So they go through, they do their whole show. When the show ends, they get a note. And they said their next month's food and travel costs are paid for because the couple that came in the back were the king and the queen. Enjoyed the show. So you never know who has the ability to change your life when they love and respect what you do.
Well, and when you love and respect them, no matter what.
Yeah. And never withhold your best, you know, because you never know when, doesn't matter how many people are there, you know, somebody will appreciate it or it'll benefit. So that story always hits me.
Yeah.